This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional medical advice or be a substitute for therapy. Please contact a mental health professional as needed. If you are in need of urgent or emergency health care, please contact your mental health provider, call 911, or go to your nearest emergency room. The information presented does not reflect the opinions of those with whom we may be affiliated as employees, consultants, or colleagues, past and present.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Slightly Sane. We are your hosts, Christy and Laura, giving you just enough to keep it together this week. Welcome back, Laura.
Hello, Dr. Christy. How you doing?
Hanging in.
Yeah?
Post-Halloween?
Post-Halloween, you know what I forgot to do? I don't know if I remembered to do this on one of our last shows, but, Joyce had a milestone birthday.
Really?
She turned 80.
My Lord.
Which fits us well because we're talking about creepy things today. So, just kidding, Mom. But I have been looking in the news. It was Halloween time. I share all kinds of creepy things with my family, and they all think that I'm really weird. So I was like, let's just put it in a show. I find the concept of death and creepy things fascinating to a point. I'm fun at a cocktail party. I'll clear the room when I say, let's talk about death, but it's there. And so I actually did some research on why we happen to like creepy things. Because we talked about in one of our other shows just about the rise in people who love watching those true crime shows.
Oh, I'm obsessed with Dateline.
Yeah. CSI, all of those, serial killers, all that kind of stuff, which other people would think is morbid. I happen to like some morbid things, not all of them. So people, of course, psychologists being like we are, we love to coin terms. So I saw two different terms for this. One was called, by the Washington Post, recreational fear. Did you ever hear that before? That enjoying spooky things
sounds so light and fluffy.
Light and fluffy. And then Johns Hopkins, the Carey Business School, was doing some research on counter-hedonic consumption. Leave it up to us to make terms that just make absolutely no sense. Word salad.
Did they just pick letters out of a hat and
right
formed a thing?
Right. So this is basically people who enjoy creepy kinds of things. Now, this is right up your alley.
So are we normal? I just want to know. Can we just get
yes,
to, are we normal or am I screwed for life?
No. We are absolutely normal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Why do we like creepy things? Just off the top of your head, why do you think we like some creepy things?
I think it's a safe way of entertaining and itching that part of ourselves without it being real.
Absolutely.
It's at a distance from us.
At a distance, like a catharsis kind of thing. Absolutely. That's like number one. And, obviously our New York Post has had a lot of articles coming up to Halloween. And these are the ones that I'm fascinated by. And I'm trying to figure out why I'm so fascinated by it. But there was a story that they had, archaeologists had found a body, some bones of a woman that they called a female vampire. Now, I don't know exactly why they suggested that she was a vampire, but she was buried with a sickle across her throat like this. So when they unearthed her, the bones were there. I don't know if you can see it.
I was going to say.
The bones are there, but you can see the sickle across her neck. Yeah, and there were things tied to her feet.
What kind of sick crap?
Okay, so but this is creepy, but this also speaks to their conventions and their thoughts and their beliefs at the time. So it's historical, which is kind of why I like it. It's creepy but historical at the same time. So apparently, the way that they buried a person gives information about what kind of person they thought that she was. So the sickle, and she had a padlock, I think, a padlock on her toe. So a sickle across her neck, padlock on the toe. So people thought it was She was believed to be a vampire for whatever reason. Maybe she had a disability or something. You know how, like, I think she had a tooth that was a little wonky. So I don't know how they figured that. They must have found her bones. So they assumed that she was called a vampire. So they buried the people with stuff there. So if by chance they rose from the dead, if she tried to get up, she would be decapitated by the sickle that was across her throat. So that would give
I guess
them
she didn't try because she's still together.
She's still there. So I guess she didn't try. So I thought that was like fascinating. It was and because we have so much good technology, they were able to actually digitally recreate her face. And they found some disabilities on her, some abnormal bones. So they were thinking that probably she was marked because she was disabled. And of course, back then, we're talking the 1600s, anybody who was a little bit different was a vampire, was a witch. Was a werewolf, whatever. So it went into all of these bodies that they found at a graveyard. And 30 out of 100 of the bodies were buried restrained, meaning that there was some fear about the person that they would get up and they would walk around and they would create a lot of problems. So they tied them down.
That's terrible.
Yeah, weighted down with stones. Others had coins in their mouths. Now, I think this is like pretty fascinating kind of stuff.
So there's no like cultural reason behind this. It's all fear-based that they buried the people this way, based on what you're reading.
Yeah, this is all fear-based, right? But
Okay.
but look at how interesting it is because it tells us about the time that we were living in, around the 1600s, where there were all of these fears. Like we talk about the zombie apocalypse and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think most people really believe that that's a thing.
What about vampires? Do you think that they are real?
Damn, I don't know. Probably.
Well, we got mosquitoes.
Right.
They're blood-sucking.
Right. But it led me down this idea of, okay, so this was a fascinating story to me. Some people would be like, why are you even reading that creepy stuff? But, some of the stuff that I found is, okay, what do we do when we read creepy stuff? When we think of werewolves and vampires and all of that stuff, we kind of get an adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah, I would say. Now I got to pay attention to it when I'm watching this stuff. And
Like if you're watching a movie like Halloween.
Yeah.
Or I think I watched 2 horror movies when I was a kid. I can't remember which one I watched first. There was one that was an American Werewolf in Paris, and then the other one was Poltergeist, the original. And both of them scared the crap out of me for ages. So, yeah, there is that adrenaline piece where you're like scared but in a safe way. But my imagination just took it and ran with it. So,
well, Poltergeist is interesting because the whole premise of it is based on a cultural understanding of the fact that you just don't screw with certain burial grounds. They are sacred. And especially that, was it an Indian burial?
oh, that's a
Native
good
American
question.
Indian?
I don't know. See, we could be misremembering.
Yeah, here we go. Back
Yeah.
to the other one we just did. But anywho, it was a sacred ground that they built this development on. They knew that they had built it. I think they had tried to move some of the bodies, if I'm remembering Poltergeist correctly, which odds are not good. Anywho, but that was based on a cultural thing of you just don't mess with that because certain cultures, not the way ours does, but certain does view that you just can't mess with it because the way that they pass, this is related to they don't want them to get up
Right.
and torture us again. Some of them believe, no, you have to make sure that the way that they pass is correct. Like back with was it the Greeks and they used to put the coins and burn them
Yes.
so their soul would rise up correctly in an honor. And that was based on how you are in the next life is how you end in this life.
Right. So I thought this was just super fascinating. And interestingly enough, an article next to it talked about a British mother purchasing what's been called the most cursed doll in the UK. And says since she bought it, she's been haunted ever since, claiming that the terrifying toy even speaks to her young child. It's a demonic baby-faced child's doll named Norman.
You hear about the Robert doll? I think it's the keys.
No.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You have to ask Robert for permission. It's a doll down.
Where?
One of the keys, maybe Key West.
Oh, I got to look that up.
Someone's got to look that up because I probably botched that one too. But yeah, if you just disrespect the doll, even in the form of taking a picture without his permission, he will haunt you.
How do you get back into his good graces? That's what I'm always worried about.
I don't know. They did it, again, the KVJ show, I always reference them. They tried to test it because Jason is and he's had cameras in his house that show him fighting with blankets and stuff in the middle of the night that he's pulling it from someone pulling him. So anyways, the point is he's the one that specifically follows a lot of those creepy stories where dolls were, the soul had, and I don't know, is that a soul that tried to pass, but it passed incorrectly and went straight into that object?
See, I think a little creepy is okay as long as it's like on more of a lighthearted, positive kind of thing. I don't like any dolls with spinning heads and stuff like that. Like that, not my thing. So we talked about some adrenaline rush. Actually, the New York Times also said that looking at these things, our approach to death, creepy things, teaches us a lot about ourselves and about how we cope and can prepare us. So I have a very morbid sense of humor about death. And maybe that's just my way of preparing for it. So, and I've always been that way. So I can remember, and this is a fixed memory in my head, sitting with my friends on my driveway. We could have been like eight or nine around there. And my friends were all going around, and one was saying, which one of us do you think will get married first? Which one of us do you think will have a baby first? I think I told you this. And what I said was, I didn't say it because I kind of was socially appropriate. I knew not to say it. But in my head, I was thinking, I wonder which one of us will die first. And that's just like where my head kind of goes. So I'm always fascinated by this, thinking maybe I'm just preparing myself.
Are you okay, though, with death, or are you scared of it?
I'm not scared of death itself. I'm scared of the knowing that it's going to happen and not being ready for it. Meaning
So you want a heads up?
Yes, I want a heads up.
Okay.
I want to prepare.
Okay.
I'm very good about preparation. I want that
You
time.
could make peace with it if you had time to
Absolutely.
plan, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a control freak. So I want to plan for it.
I'm scared of it in whatever form it comes in, which is I can't make sense of it. My brain cannot make sense of the fact that I was raised Catholic, so this is not it. There's something after that. Even with, how do I believe this and am scared of death then? How does that make sense? If I'm scared of death, then that must mean I don't know what's after that.
Well, maybe are you just scared of the process of dying?
That's why I was saying, is it the manner in which of it? I don't know. I can't figure it out. I have wrapped my brain around why am I so scared of it? It's not the suffering, because I actually truly believe, just like going back to the trauma stuff, I do believe our head that amygdala will shut off that part of the brain, and I'm not sure if I'll remember it. Right. Just like car crash, there's a memory loss there. It's not that part necessarily. I think it's more just, wow, like where is everybody?
Right. But I like psychics and mediums, and I have things flying around my room, so I may have like a different perspective. I have always viewed heaven as a place where any question I've ever had in my entire life will get answered.
See, I believe that too, so why am I scared?
Well, we've talked about this. The only reason why I'm a little bit nervous is I'm afraid I might get bored. Like, I don't know if like being happy all the time and peaceful and joyful, I think that would get boring. But if you're in heaven, theoretically then everything I think is perfect, so you would be okay with being joyful all the time. So you wouldn't get bored. But I still worry about maybe I'll get bored and be like, this is it, I got to stay up here forever? There's nothing else? Or maybe there is.
So speaking of planning, what do you think of this concept that people actually plan the way their ceremony is going to be.
So this is fascinating because there are people named death doulas who help you prepare for a good death. And I've worked with people who are dying, who are terminal. I worked in pediatric oncology. I worked in HIV. I've worked with a lot of cancer people. And a lot of times the goal was helping people how to have a good death. And so that can include, and again, the Post has it here. I didn't even know this was possible. The top 10 songs dying people play. Now, I didn't even think of playing music while I'm dying. Did you?
No, but I do want it to be a party. My friend's mother-in-law, that it was a party. She wanted a party. That was her spirit, though. That was her personality. It was always a good time. So it kind of reflected that. But I don't know. I didn't.
Would you want a song? Is there a song that you would want?
Hit me with it. What do we got?
Okay, let's see. Top 10 songs. I don't get this one, but My Way by Frank Sinatra. I guess if I don't know the song that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. I kind of get that, but I wouldn't play that dying. That's like a wedding song.
Oh God,
Right?
I did mentally pick a song. I'll tell you it in a second. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Simply the Best, Tina Turner. Over the Rainbow, maybe. Girls Just Want to Have Fun was number 5, which I think is kind of funny. Angels by Robbie Williams. I don't know that one. What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. Hey Jude. Is that a death song?
Read the words.
Oh, okay. And These Are the Days of Our Lives by Queen.
Oh, I was going the rap version.
Yep.
These are the days
Yep.
of
Yep. I was thinking of, oh gosh, I can't, Natalie, whatever her name is. Go ahead.
know.
See, memory.
So do you like any of those?
No.
Those don't fit for me.
So it said about 61% of people said music helped ease anxiety and emotional distress for them. The music relaxed and calmed their loved ones. I don't know. I would play probably, I mean, I have Eminem's Houdini in my head, and I'm just thinking, and for my last trick, that would be hysterical, right? If that just plays out. And for my last trick, abracadabra.
oh my God, we've lost everyone.
Yeah, we've lost everyone. However, that was one that came into mind. The other one is that Biggie song, I'm coming up, right? I had that
see,
one.
that's funny.
Yeah, but it would have to be, for me, it would have to be something funny.
So you want the funny route?
Yeah.
You don't want
10,000 Maniacs. That was one. These Are Days, or These Are the Days.
Oh.
Yeah. But I want to be funny. Let's make it hysterical.
No, I distinctly remember when my uncle passed that I think it was just my uncle was hysterical. I think our family's hysterical, but I don't know, everybody might think their family's hysterical, but we laughed our way through it, and it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. It was just a time for all of us to get together.
See, that's the thing that I think is interesting is when people laugh, like we're laughing about this, we're laughing about some of these things, I don't personally think it's disrespectful. Like today, November 1st, is Day of the Dead in Mexico, right? And they celebrate the passing of all of their relatives. It's a celebration. You know, they make sugar cookies out of like skulls and stuff. So this is something that we in the US, we have like this fear, and that it's got to be something like super morbid and super serious. But most people's lives are not 100% super serious.
No, there's no disrespect out of celebration, in my opinion, or laughing. I think it was just our way of dealing with it and you know, enjoying the memories rather than it being sad. I don't know, maybe that was our defense mechanism because it was an incredibly sad time. I don't know, maybe that was the way we got through it. So I don't think laughter is a disrespectful thing.
I don't think so either. You know, my great aunt passed away, I can't remember, right after my daughter was born. So maybe it was like the end of 2009. I think she fell and I think passed away December 27th or something like that. And so when we went to her wake, I brought with me that I took from her house a bottle of white pearlized nail polish from OPI because that's what she would always wear.
Yeah.
And I put it in the casket with her. And then somebody took it out. And I went back and I go, where the hell's the nail polish? And then I saw it was on the table and I put it back. And then it turned out I was having a battle with someone who was like, how the hell is this nail polish getting in the casket? And I'm like, who the hell's taking the nail polish out of the casket? And so we agreed that it should be there. And I thought it was funny. I don't know what anybody else thought, but I'm like, she would appreciate that.
So moral is we all have our own way of dealing with it. There's not one right way of doing it. And I, for one, hear that I am okay if I enjoy watching some of these morbid things or trying to make light of death.
So here's
Is that
the
what
thing.
you're saying to me?
Here's the thing, though. Would you go to the Amityville Horror House? Would you stay a night there?
No, because I scare easy. I will like you could come behind me and I have that sort of reaction. So no, I am fine with it being on the screen and that's as close as it gets. I would not do that. But I think I said in another episode, I was not a good sleeper as a kid. Things scared me. I found out later it was apparently, my guardian angel would come, but I didn't. So I've never gotten that. What about you?
So I grew up on Long Island, and I used to work in Amityville. I had a job in Amityville for a while. And even just going into the town would freak me out. I never actually saw the house. So that's a creepy that crosses the line for me.
Yeah.
Because it's associated with some really negative, bad, weird kind of stuff.
Well, you're good about picking up energy of things.
Right. So there are places that I will walk into and I will walk out. So I'm going to New York this weekend, and there's a bar in downtown Smithtown where I am, which is like Everytown, USA, and Ghost Hunters or whatever TV show, they've actually been there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was either a patient or a friend of a patient worked there. And she told me about all the scary stuff that would happen, like, just glasses being picked up and dropped and stuff like that. And it turns out that this particular area, I think it was either Civil War or Revolutionary War, and it was a place where the soldiers used to go. There's a lot of history there. And so, again, it goes into, okay, I have never been in that bar. Like, I don't want to go. It's too creepy for me.
Yeah, I had that feeling. I'm not going to mention the school, but it was a school that I visited when I was trying to figure out what college I wanted to go to. And the minute my foot stepped on the campus, my body needed to get out of there. And it was a phenomenal school. It was nothing to do with the school. It was just the energy.
And that's interesting because I went to William and Mary, which is a historic school in Williamsburg, Virginia, where there are ghost sightings all over the place. And I felt at home there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fascinating.
I love this topic. We could keep talking about it.
We could keep talking about it.
We got to go.
Yeah. So did you come up with your song?
Silly Love Songs.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you know
that's
what I'm
a good
talking
one.
about?
Yes, that's a really good one.
I don't know why. And they play it on Sundays. I play Yacht Rock Radio because it just reminds me of easy weekends with my family. They always play that song, and it just gets me.
I love that. And for my last trick, so that's what we're going to end on. So thanks for listening to the Slightly Sane podcast with Dr. Christy and Dr. Laura. Please check us out on Apple, Spotify, see the video on YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast. Don't forget to leave us a rating and a comment on Apple, and we want to hear what you have to say. So reach out to us at slightlysanepodcast@gmail.com. And peace out, everybody.
Goodbye.